Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. All of us have to play so many roles in our life. Sometimes we are husband, sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are officers, sometimes we are subordinates, isn't it? As specifically mentioned, sometimes we are husband, sometimes we are happy. So we have to play many roles, and our greatness lies in our ability to deliver the goods in every role. See? So, as an officer, I am an extraordinary inspired officer. As a husband, I am an extraordinary inspired husband. As a father, I am an extraordinary inspired father. In this manner, when we are able to perform all the roles that we have to do, then we don't suffer from a disease called as identity crisis. See, most of the time this happens. We are unable to pinpoint what is the role we are playing at a given period of time, in front of whom we are, in whose company we are, to whom we are talking. When this is forgotten, we start behaving the way of which we are ashamed ourselves. I don't know why did I do like this. So why this happens is only because we are overpowered by one or the other role to such an extent that that overpowering effect of one role contaminates our performance in the other role. See, one husband was having a very fighting mood in the morning and went to the office. So when he went to the office, he is no more a husband, he is an officer now. But that day it so happened, he carried the husband in his briefcase. And when the subordinate presented an application, very good rapport between the two. Sir, I want to take half-day break because I want to take my wife for medical checkup. The moment he read the word wife, worry is invited forever, immediately he became so wild, he said, nothing happens to the wife, no leave. See? So what was happening? The officer was not interacting, but it was the husband who was reacting. Now apply this general principle. Helping a son is the duty of the father. There is nothing wrong in that. But if the father is a chief minister or prime minister, and if he is helping his son, then who is helping whom? Now there is a crossover of identities. As a father, he has no powers. As a minister, he has powers. So what he has done? He has invoked a part of fatherhood and a part of ministerhood, and the net result is biasness, nepotism, corruption, etc. See, that is why one of the most important thing, last time I spoke here, it was this principle. That when we are living in this world, we require two important qualities or two important qualifications. One is, we must have authority or adhikar, and at the same time we must have dispassion. When these two things are put together, no corruption can ever happen. See, if we have got only dispassion and no authority, no adhikar, like we have no adhikar, we can do nothing in this world. See, we can only feel bad. See, why these people are like that, if they do this way, that way, if they, only go on imagining. Only a dispassionate person is not enough to make a change in life. Now the second person is adhikar. Somebody has, like our politicians, they have got adhikar, authority, but no dispassion. See the difference? So what is the net result? Net result is, because there is adhikar, authority, they will be extremely selfish and utilize this facility only for the personal benefit. See? And now you have got your chief minister here, a rare character. He has got authority as well as dispassion. When these two things come together, then alone something great can happen. See, friends. Therefore, when we are thinking of living in this world, now all these thoughts I am putting together. First of all, by our efforts, we must have qualification to live in this world. We have to work for getting the qualification. See, only by imagining nothing happens. We have to work for that. And at the same time, so qualification is required for functioning in the outer world, and dispassion is required for maintaining the peace and beauty in the inner world. See, when these two things happen together, the net result is we are never corrupted in any situation. Now such a person, if he is before the subordinates, he is working with the authority, but the dispassion is a common factor in every interaction, in every authority. See? And when these things happen, there will be no chaos, no confusion in life. And then alone we have learned the secret of this identity crisis in the Karma Yoga. And when this identity crisis overpowers us, see what happens. Which father doesn't know what he is supposed to do for the child? Which child doesn't know how he should live with his father? Which teacher doesn't know how he should be with the students? And which students do not know that how they should live in the school and college? As regards knowledge is concerned, we all know very well. See, but then what happens? Because of lack of dispassion, we are overpowered by some selfish desire. And as a result of this, then our authorities are corrupted and our position is confused. Now take example of Arjun in Bhagavad Gita. Now there was no reason why he should be confused on the battlefield. No reason. Yudhishthir was not confused. He came to the battlefield to fight the war, no confusion. Bhima was not confused. He was very clear. He has to open the chest of the fridge and take out the stored coconut and open it and drink and get good. He did it. If you study Mahabharata, he did it. So he had no confusion. Nakula Sahadev were the most intelligent twins among all the people in the Mahabharata, according to my understanding. Why they are most intelligent? They did not waste their time in thinking. They were very clear. Our eldest brother is wise. So you just follow wise person. Why think? लेकिन मुझे ऐसे लगता है, why do you लगता? See? One day I went to Lonavala in Kaivalya Dham, and I had a bag of cassettes, my talks on Patanjali Yoga Darshan. So I was in a hurry, so I told one student, I said, hey, give it to Dr. Sharma in his house. And I was turning the car and coming out, and that student was going to his hostel. I said, hey, I told you to give it to him. Why you are taking it to hostel? I thought he may not be at home. I did not ask you to think. I asked you to go there. Just watch. Many of us unnecessarily think. This is one of the secret of my life. I stopped thinking. See how simple life becomes. When our Vaidehi takes my clothes, washes, irons, gives me good food, so I like it, I don't have to think. Ab kya karu kapdon ka? I don't have to think. In the same manner, somebody thinks for you, why worry? See? So, Nakula Sahadeva, they were very, very intelligent. That whatever eldest brother has done, let him, we just follow and relax. But then there are always Arjun Singhs like you and me in this world. They start thinking when it is not required. See, friends, how simple it is. All those words which were used by Sanjay, they are the words used by Arjun in the first chapter of Gita. If you go before the beginning of Bhagavad Gita in Mahabharata, the story goes that Dhritarashtra, as shrewd as he was, just before the war begins, he sent Sanjay in the camp of the Pandavas with a message that, look here, my children are useless, they don't listen to me, I am fed up of them, but you are the Dharmaputra and you are very nice and you are very good, at least you should listen to me. If you don't listen to me, then our whole family will be destroyed and you will be responsible for that. You have got ability, you have got creativity, you can go to other place and have 500 towns, why only in this place? So better you go back. Otherwise, even if you win, it will be only the blood spill everywhere on your victory. So when all this Dussanga was conducted under the disguise of the Satsanga, Bhagavan Krishna did not allow anybody to think. After that was over, then Bhagavan said, hey Pandava, shall I speak on your behalf? Yes, sir. Now, how can they say no? See, he was very intelligent. And then he said, hey, come on, you go and tell your boss, the war will be conducted, there is no second option, bye. And he was pushed out. Thereafter, immediately he asked all the Pandavas to disperse. So, everybody went back, including Arjun. The remaining 4 did not think because the decision was already taken. Arjun Singh started thinking. And when he started thinking, then Mandal came up. See? Akhanda Mandalakaram. And as a result, he became confused, arrogant, depressed, dejected. And when with that confused mentality, he tells the Lord to take the chariot between the two armies. And when his chariot was in front of Duryodhana, etc., in front of Dronacharya, not Duryodhana, Dronacharya, Bhishmacharya, etc., he was confused. Now see, there is no reason for confusion. On the battlefield, you are just a soldier. But he forgot his position, his identity. And he has invoked a wrong identity, that he is a grandson and he is a disciple. As if Dronacharya, Bhishmacharya did not know, and when they were shooting arrows at him, he was a goody-goody person and they were bad. See? And the real cause of the identity crisis was the impact of the attachment. Mamaka Pandavaschaiva. This possessiveness creates all the problems in life. Therefore, friends, in any institution, we have to simply remember this. The other day I was talking either here or in Pilani. What is the real contribution of the top person in the management? What is the real contribution? The real contribution is that all the people working for that institution should feel that they belong to that institution, and this institution is not owned by one particular person, and okay, aap jo kahenge karenge. The moment participation of the people stops, you are gone. See? And therefore, when we become possessive of everything, when I say this thing should be done, then after some time, okay, what should we do? You tell. We blunt the openings of the next generation when we become overpowering in life. This is what happens in most of the families. The old man is like an old banyan tree, doesn't allow the other saplings to grow. See? And you will see many places when the old man has gone, the next generation has done better. Because they were stunted. No light, no sun, no air was allowed to come near. He was like a big, thick wall everywhere. Therefore, this identity crisis, when it is sorted out, be very attentive. We will come to the following conclusion. There is a time in our life we have to become qualified and capable. That is called as Brahmacharya Ashram. Thereafter, lead your life fully, Grihastha Ashram. Earn, spend, enjoy, suffer, everything is true. But how long? Before you are compelled to take the VRS, see? Before that, make yourself in the Vanaprastha Ashram, you have to withdraw. And what is the Vanaprastha Ashram withdrawal? Withdrawal is discovering independence. No more dependent on the wife or the husband or the servants or the children or the grandchildren. No. Absolute independence. And when we thus slowly we learn to withdraw from the world and from the life, then only the fourth stage come in our life called as the sannyasa. So karma yoga is a methodical life scheme wherein we are able to live every part of our life fully. See? You know, our condition is like what? We take food, and after taking food we suffer. I don't know, why did I take so much? The same thing happens in our life. In the old age, like after taking proper food, we enjoy. In the same manner, if we have lived our life properly, we will never suffer in the old age. See? Therefore, friends, the identity crisis is this. We are unable to understand. We have played our innings. Now withdraw. Let the next generation do or die. We are now more interested getting lost in that. And in this manner, when slowly we start understanding that every person, every place has got its own importance, and we should never get confused in these issues, then the identity crisis will no more be a problem. Then what will happen? Then when I know that there is 1 hour for me, now in this 1 hour I have to fit in everything. So I can't afford to run here and there. See, one of the most important thing is, like the other day somebody asked me here only, Swamiji, how come so many books you have written? so many CDs, so many cassettes. Where do you get the time from? So I told him, look here, there is one very simple principle. And the principle is, I am suffering from itch. In Hindi it is called as khujli. So whenever you have got khujli, are you short of time? Suppose you are doing pranayam. See? For khujli, you are never short of time. All those people who are short of time in life, they don't have khujli. See? All the great masters were suffering from eczema. That they were never short of time. And we all have all the time, and yet nothing we are able to do. See? When the great masters live in this world, do they have 40 hours a day, 15 days a week, 75 days a month, and 1000 days a year? No. They work on the same time scale on which you and me are working, and yet see the output. Now, what is the reason? The reason is they do not repeat the same job twice. See, this is one of the most important things. We have to do whatever in one go, no second time repetition. And for that, we have to be extremely efficient. It can't be done by the most inefficient person. In Goa, there was one girl who was coming for the talk. So I said, hey, what do you do? She says, Swamiji, I am a steno in a government office. I said, oh good. Must be very lucky, isn't it? No job. Wanted that fellow to tuck and forget and enjoy. She said, I also thought like that only. But I'll tell you my tragedy. I said, what is your tragedy? My tragedy is, my boss calls me and I go there, paper and pen. And he tells, with reference to this letter, So I go to put it in the typewriter, those days typewriter. By the time I go, again the bell rings, so again I go back. See, that letter which you have taken dictation, cancel that, I will tell you another draft, exactly opposite thoughts. Then again I go back, and by the time I put the paper, started, again. Look here, tomorrow anyway I am going on leave, someone else will come, let him take decision. Why should I forget about it, cancel everything? He said, this is such an annoying thing in life. Can't we do one thing in one go? See? And when we are able to do one thing in one go, we will never be short of time. Then alone we can make most of our life. See? And then alone we have learned the secret of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is not perspiring and living. Karma Yoga is living under inspiration. An inspired person is like the inspiration in a person is like a catalytic agent in a chemical reaction. See? Husband plus inspiration, inspired husband. Father plus inspiration, inspired father. Officer plus inspiration, inspired officer. Inspiration is a common denominator. Now what that inspiration does? Inspiration brings out the best in us. And whenever we do anything under inspiration, we will never be tired in life. We will never be afraid in life. Life will never be a burden. See? One thing we all have to learn from our terrorist brothers. See, you cannot compare their inspiration with anyone in the world. Whether it is right or wrong is not our concern. Our concern is to learn from the world. If our process of learning goes on, then we can see how simple it is. Unless they are inspired, they will not be ready to give up their life for the cause, whatever they have chosen. So those who are trying to defend and work against them, do they have even 1 by millionth inspiration to fight with them? No. See, remember few days before, in Times of India, there was one article by the Chief of the Army, or maybe his interview, where he said that a time has come in our country where we have to make the military education as a compulsory one. See, nobody wants to join military. See. Now why this happens? Because of lack of inspiration. And why lack of inspiration? They see there are other avenues where even coffins can create money. Why join the military and get into the coffin? See, therefore, friends, when we are learning this art of Karma Yoga, this is the best important thing. We have to be inspired, inspired, inspired. See? An inspired person has got the right start in life. You just take an example of these people, athletes, who run for 100 meters or 200 meters or 1000 meters. They don't run when the signal is given. Then they shoot like a bullet. If I am also standing there and if they tell me, "Acha, ghanti bajayenge, daudo." So first of all, I'll take out my khadao and do my lungi properly. By then, everybody will be already reaching there, See? Therefore, when, be very attentive, I'm taking it step by step. When our start is with inspiration, the finish is a success. See? But if our start is गम उठाने के लिए मैं तो सोए जाता हूँ. See, our day must begin very early. If there is nothing, go for running to return back. See, this is one of the biggest obstacle for the so-called prosperous society. This one thing we must learn from the whites. We will see, no white will spare his efforts to keep himself physically fit. So we have to begin our day early morning, and when you begin your day in the morning, you are inspired. And with that inspired mood, you will be able to outwit your own performance. See? And in this manner, when we learn that we have a very little time at our disposal, and during this time, we have to do our best. One day, one boy asked me this question. Swamiji, you told us, do your best. I did my best, but I did not pass in the examination. Now what do you have to say? I said, your best was not according to the required best. There are two bests. One is your best, and second is the required best. So your best must match with the required best. Otherwise, I did my best, what I slept. That won't help. Therefore, when we have to make the most of our time in our life, we have to be extremely efficient. And an efficient person does not repeat the same thing twice. Now you see all those ammas who are very good in cooking. They will be talking, discussing this thing, and there is no, where is the major? I want to put something, like, They just take it here and there, like, dhum dhadaka, and the things come out so beautiful and tasty. They don't repeat it. Otherwise, you go to this so-called five-star hotel. First of all, they will give bhog to themselves. With that directly, kadchi. Oh, no. And then put some more salt and again mix it that, And then that bhog comes to you. Purnavadaha Purnavidam. See? Therefore, efficiency is the secret of Karma Yoga, not expertise. Expertise falls in a mechanical area. Efficiency is an expression of inspired performance. And in this manner, when we have learned the art of making the most of our life, then what happens? We are successful in the outer world. See? Like many people have got this notion, हमारे ज़माने में ऐसा नहीं था, ऐसा होता तो forget about it. We have to be successful in an area, in a time, in a place we are. See? Those who only imagine. See, one beautiful thing I heard the other day, one old man was telling me, Swamiji, I have seen those people who leave their place, they really grow. Like you take Bengalis. The Bengalis in Bengal are without energy, only Mukherjees. But the same Mukherjee, when he goes out of Bengal, he is very creative. See? Similarly, Biharis in Bihar, they don't work at all. When they go out of Bihar, they are really hard working. See? Gujarat is in Gujarat. And when they go to South Africa, Tanzania, US and all that, see how day and night they work. What is the reason? I say the reason is, when you change your geography, your history will change. And that is why the more we remain secured in life, the more we are lazy in life. One of the most important principle of spiritual life is work under zero security. Why these Babajis are told to move like Parivrajaka? See? No bank account, no nothing. Move around. See? Then we are able to discover the inner strength and inspiration. And when we thus lead our life, then what happens? External success and internal fulfillment, they go together. When there is external success and no internal fulfillment, then external success intoxicates a person. And when the external success is intoxicating, arrogance comes. See? And an arrogant person can never be happy in the crowd. He is always lonely in the crowd. See? Therefore, these two things, external success demands efficiency and the internal fulfillment demands the quality of our life. When these two things go together, a perfect balance is reached. And what is the perfect balance? Perfect balance is, according to Bhagavad Gita, Sukha dukkhe same krutva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujjasva naivam papam avapsasi. When we are leading our life in perfect balance, nothing in this world will upset us. See? Otherwise, small little things upset us so much. See? You must be going through that experience. Sometime in you get a jhatka. Now let me do meditation. So you get up and sit. And everywhere there is absolute quietness, except one innocent drop of water falls on a plastic mug in your bathroom. Thak, thak. I don't know why these people do it. Thak, thak. See? The more you become subtler and subtler, more you become sensitive. But if you become sensitive and lose your sense, then you become nonsense. We become extremely sensitive, but we don't get influenced by that. That is important. And why this happens? Because we have never recognized that we are constantly reacting to every stimulus. Constantly. You observe this. When two persons are talking, a third person pokes his nose. हाँ किसके बारे में क्या क्या? It is not required. Why should I tell you? See? This is such a funny thing. And they don't realize. See? And this is only a developed habit. Please understand where we are not required. The other day in where Bangalore, one of the person after my talk asked this question. Swamiji, what is the secret that you go to every place, everybody receives you such a great joy, love and all that. But when we go even to our own in-laws' place, we don't get this thing. What is the secret? I said the secret is, like here I have come to this Mehta's house. Before my arrival, they know my departure. That is why, with every additional day, they become more happy. 7th day, they are happy. 6th day, they are happier. 5th day, they are happier. And then the 4th day, tomorrow Swamiji is going. See? The moment Swamiji aa gaya, pata nahi kab jayenge. Frustration. Remember, never stay in a place where you are not required, even for one moment. Unless we recognize this principle, we are leading a dumb life. We must understand this. See, one example I'll give you. See how much the younger generation suffers because of the elders. They don't understand. They don't have bad intentions, but they don't understand. This happened in Bombay. A small house, and in that front room and the second room, only 2 rooms. And the next room is kitchen, come bathroom, come washing room, come dining room, come bedroom for the new couple who got married recently. And in the front room, these oldies, that old man and some uncle, they were. Now this young couple had no other place except that room. And when these old people cannot sleep quite at night, they have to get up. So they will be going through that bedroom, their bedroom, and there this couple is sleeping. So this girl asked me, Swamiji, I feel so funny. I don't know what I should do. I am fed up. What I should do? I said, look here. A simple technique I tell you. You keep yourself close eyes. Whatever you are, just lie down. Don't open your eyes. The moment you open, you'll have to get up. Pretend you are sleeping. If you are sleeping, then your sleep will be disturbed. When you pretend, your sleep can never be disturbed. Swamiji, this is a good technique. I said, yes. Sir, let that old man come and, but he doesn't understand, then what can you do? See? Therefore, friends, it is necessary that we lead our life in utter awareness. Where we are not required, you go away. See, slowly, slowly, the world will no more disturb us. See, like we have a friend, very good friend in Dubai. He lost his wife. He has got a son, daughter-in-law, children. He hardly stays with them. He keeps on moving. So I ask him, I say, hey, you don't stay? No, वहाँ लेके क्या करेंगे? So he is busy. He does his japa, he does this thing, that thing, and all the time he is moving. And he is all the time on the phone, in contact. As a result, he is always in demand by the grandchildren, the son and the daughter-in-law. You sit all 24 hours on their head. This is jata kyun nahi? Gatasu na gatasu. See? Therefore, when we slowly come to withdraw ourselves, now be very attentive. We don't have to leave anything and go anywhere. Only we have to withdraw our uncalled for participation in the world. When our uncalled for participation in the world is withdrawn, then we will naturally become self-oriented. And when we become self-oriented, we cannot be selfish. And when we become self-oriented, then our quality of life will change. And when the quality of life changes, the first sign of change in quality is we remain undisturbed in life. See friends, I tell you one of my experience. I was in Calcutta and Swami Akhandanji Maharaj was there, and it was a Marwadi crowd. Marwadi crowd is a very, very indisciplined crowd. Anybody will come anytime, khako and put something chandan and kumkum and mala, and satsang is going on like that. There is no discipline. And if that is the Calcutta Marwadi guru, bada baja, there is a bada maja. So we were having satsang there, and I was sitting on the floor and Maharaji was sitting. And so much of chaos going on. One person got up and started reading the question paper, and other people coming in between and putting chandan on his forehead and then mala and doing pradakshina. Such a noise. So that time I felt I should go and stop them. Hey, you shut up all. He's talking something. But I didn't dare. I kept quiet. After all that was over, in that chaos the question paper was read. And I was so touched and shocked. After that was over, Swamiji said, please sit down. And then he restated that question paper in his words, which was an answer to all the questions. In one go. See? That day, the goal of my life has changed. I don't want to see God. See? After seeing God, what next? There is no Bhagavad Puran, there is Bhagavat Puran. God is everywhere, where He is not. What is important is that God manifesting through us? And the manifestation of the God is Vijanan Vidwan Bhavate Nativadi. So nothing could disturb Him. Nobody has ever seen Him losing his cool. Never. When he was, not well last few years, so his, disciples will tell, don't do Namaskar, Maharajji, let him walk. But some old people, they never listen. So they will come and do Namaskar. And in that push, no, don't like all that tamasha. And in that, one Swami pushed one old man and that man fell down. That time also, Maharaji simply looked at and kept walking, not a word. After having gone in a room, he casually asked, Mahatma Ji, that person you have pushed, did you push him because he was doing namaskar to me and because of that I will be disturbed, or you pushed him because you told him and yet he did not listen to you and therefore you pushed him? See, discrimination is never lost. Never he has used one bad word, never he has erased his speech. Always cool. So that became the goal of my life. See? And it is in this tranquility alone that the divinity manifests. A disturbed mind is a mind of problems. A quiet mind is the abode of all solutions. The problem is only disturbed mind or not disturbed mind. So when we are living in this world, are we living to create disturbances inside as well as outside? Or we are living in this world in such a manner that we are at peace with ourselves and also at peace with the world? Now see, what is required is we have to recognize that we are in this world not to suffer but to celebrate. Not to live in fear but to live our life fearlessly. And that is possible only when we recognize this principle. Yoginaha karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva atma shuddhaye. Whatever we are doing, it must have its reflection on the quality of our mind that is left behind. See? Now, I will take a little deeper. See, when we are extremely disturbed, we are living at the lip level, called as Vaikhari Vani. And in Vaikhari Vani, the object and the word, they are separate. Mic is the word and this in front of me is the object. They are different from each other. That is our experience in the waking world. Then the second stage is the Madhyama Vani, where the thought and the object both are thoughts. Like you think of Rasagulla. So, the word Rasagulla and the object Rasagulla both are thoughts. Then you are at the Madhyama Vani. There are no objects involved. And then we go still deeper in our personality at the Pashyanti Vani, where the thought and the object, they are not separated from each other. All the great masters live in the Pashyanti Vani. And therefore, whatever they think, that happens. Because the thought and the object, they are not separated. See, like for a chair, when you pull one leg, other three also come because they are all connected. They are not separate. In the same manner, in the Pashyanti Vani, the thought and the object, they are not separated, and therefore, when we lead our life cool, undisturbed, then we have migrated from the Vaikhari to Madhyama, Madhyama to Pashyanti, and then lead our life longer and longer in this Pashyanti Vani. See? Then our words carry the meaning. In Vaikhari Vani, the word and the object are separate. If the word is uttered from the lips, it doesn't make a dent on the listener's heart. When the word is uttered from the Madhyama Vani, it makes a noise and confusion. But when the word is born from the Pashyanti Vani, that word carries meaning. And therefore, when any great Mahatma says anything casually, it happens. And people listen to them. People don't listen to us. Then our problem is, why my children don't listen to me? Vaikhari Vani. Now go down, go deep in your own personality. Therefore, when we want to learn this Karma Yoga, it is this. That when we are leading our life in its totality, the attention should be, are we going away from ourselves through every action, or every action is propelling us nearer to our own self? See? This is what Bhagavan Krishna has defined in the 4th chapter of Gita. Karmani akarmayaha pashet, akarmani cha karmayaha, sabuddhiman manusheshu sa yuktaha sa krishna karmakruta. Karmani akarmayaha pashet. he who is able to express the divine bliss in and through every action. Means what? His actions are not a struggle to get happiness, but every action is an expression of bliss. See? Then akarmanicha karmaya. Many times it happens, we reward, okay, I will not talk. That is not the way. Not talking is not the solution. Talking properly is the solution. See? When I do something, it is always wrong. I will not do anything. That is also wrong. You have to correct yourself. See, going to extreme is very easy. Extremism is not spiritual life. Therefore, when we are slowly recognizing this principle, first principle, let every action be an expression of joy. See? So when you go to the temple to ask something, then it is an expression of beggary. So, God, no, listen. On the contrary, if you go to the temple only for the joy of it, that the Lord has given us the best opportunity to have His darshan, enough. See? And the third thing, sabuddhiman manusheshu. He is a really genius. He is intelligent and not intellectual. Intellectuals are argumentative. Intelligent people are quiet. See? Therefore, sabuddhiman manusheshu sayuktaha. And he alone has learned the secret of karma yoga. See? Therefore, karma yoga is not the yoga of action, but it is the yoga in action. See? Therefore, sa yuktaha sa krishna karma krut. Now he has gone beyond the limitations of the karma. See? And in this manner, the mind starts remaining quieter and quieter. Quiet mind is a pure mind. And pure mind is that mind where the inquiry about the truth is kindled. We want to know more and more. When we want to do more and more, we are under the influence of ignorance. When we want to know more and more, we are under the influence of purity. See? Because karma is the result of desire, and desire is a result of a notion that I am incomplete, and if I get that, then I will be happy. If I don't get that, I am miserable. And as a result, the desire becomes very vibrant, and that vibrant desire doesn't allow us to be at peace. See? You just give it a try. What a joy it is. Just try. Today, whole day, I will have no objections, no arguments, no logic, no nothing with anybody. Give it one day a try. See? And see what is the quality of life we lead that day. And in this slowly, once we recognize the joy of it, then it will start happening. One example I'll give you to make this point. There is one boy, a UP boy, so spoiled by his parents, right from childhood, eating, there is no end to his eating. So when he was in class 12, he was looking like something like 45 years of age in class 12. Huge. And while eating like a buffalo, he will eat. So when I saw him, I told him, I said, hey, look here, you have to cut down. You are growing. No, I don't feel I am fat. Then he went to college. When he went to college, non-stop SMS. So, I mean, the students are teasing me, they are ragging me. Continuous SMS, one after another, one after another. Then I told his mother, I said, look here, your son is disturbing me. Every 2 minutes, one SMS. If he doesn't stop, I am going to report to the police, you tell him. So when I did like this thing, then he stopped. And then when he came back in the vacation, he said, Swamiji, what you told was right. Then he said, but I never experienced that I am fat. Be very attentive. A person who has never lived a lean and thin life, he can never understand that he is fat. See, a person who has never lived a peaceful, cheerful, undisturbed life, he can never understand the life could be that type. See? Like the other day I told you an example. One person talking to me, I asked him, I said, are you staying near railway line? He said, how come you know? I said, the way you are talking to me. Now those people who talk very loudly, they don't know that they are talking loudly. It is normal for them. But for others, it is a bombardment. See? So what is wanting? We have to become aware of all these things. Therefore, when this principle, this is the secret of the whole Karma Yoga principle given in Bhagavad Gita. Karmani akarmayaha pasyan. Akarma is Paramatma, uncreated, non-doer. So when in every action the Lord is manifested, it is an expression of joy and is not a struggle to get happiness. See what a difference it will make. That is called as Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is not running from post to the pillar and I had done this thing, I had done that thing, I had done this thing, and we started a temple and then we have constructed a bridge and then I have opened an orphanage and that is not Karma Yoga, that is Karma Roga. See? Therefore, real thing is, whatever is happening in our life, 24 hours must be an expression of joy. Don't we like somebody happy around us? When somebody happy around us we like, what a joy it will be if we are that happiness. See? How simple it is. Then, akarmanicha karmayaha. And if we say that we will not do anything, they know that is also karma because the doership is there. And therefore, the secret of Karma Yoga as a path to reality is this. Never struggle in life to get happiness. Let happiness be expressed through us. Every word we utter, every thought we generate, every action that we do must manifest the bliss that we are. This is the path to the reality. And see the beauty? Here it doesn't matter what you are. Married, unmarried, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Stri, Purusha, educated, uneducated. It makes no difference. See, it is common for everyone in our own place. We don't have to change the place. See, and in this manner, let every moment be lived dynamically to express joy. And when this is done from within with understanding, sarvani bhutani enam samvanchanti. Upanishad says, such a person is loved by the whole world. See, many great masters, when they move, even the inimical animals among themselves, they become quiet. Like, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was coming from Bengal to Vrindavan, on the way in the forest, all those animals who are enemy to each other, in his company, they were at home. See? Sarvani bhutani enam samvanchanti. Because in that peaceful atmosphere. Everyone is at peace. See? Now at this moment, whatever is your experience, that is the truth. You cannot define it. It cannot be compared. And it is not disturbed or it is not enhanced. Presence of things in the space does not reduce the space. Removal of the things from the space does not increase the space. In the same manner, whether we are dynamically active in this world or fully withdrawn, the bliss that is ever remains the same. This is the reality, and this is the path. Therefore, as I told you on the first day, it is not a journey in time. It is not a journey in space. It is not an objective achievement. But it is a subjective being, independent of everything. And this is never disturbed. Yoga rato va, bhoga rato va, sanga rato va, sanga vihina. Whether one is moving in this world or seated, whether talking or not talking, eating or not eating, awake or sleeping, this equanimity, this poise never gets disturbed. This undisturbed experience of being is the reality, and that being our own being, there is no path. So where the path and the goal, they merge, that is the reality. Where the seeker and the sought dissolve, that is the reality. And it has to be discovered. It is covered under the clouds of ignorance. And for that, the first step is this path of karma yoga and not the path of karma. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.